Welcome back to the deep dive. We're here to cut through the noise, give you those key insights, the stuff you really need. Today, we're jumping into something pretty important, maybe even a bit overlooked sometimes in professional life. Employee self-evaluations. Yeah, and look, if you've ever stared at that blank form thinking, is this just paperwork or is it something more? Well, you're definitely in the right place. Our mission today, it's really to unpack the what, the why, and the how of doing these self-evaluations effectively. We've got some great insights from expert HR sources. And the goal is simple. We want you to walk away feeling not just informed, but actually empowered. Doesn't matter if you're writing one soon or if you're a manager thinking about how to use them better. Maybe you filled one out before and kind of wondered, what's the real point? Or you just want to figure out how to make them genuinely useful for actual growth. Let's try and make these things truly meaningful. Okay. All right, let's start with the basics. Sounds straightforward enough, self-evaluation, but our sources are calling it a crucial framework. What makes it so crucial, more than just, well, looking at yourself?
That's a great question. What makes it pivotal, as the sources really stress, isn't just the evaluation part. It's more like a critical forcing function. It basically makes you do what they call meaningful self-reflection. And that's just invaluable, honestly. Think about it, right? Without that kind of structured prompt, how often do we really truly stop and systematically think about our work, our contributions, challenges, growth over the whole year? Doing that reflection, it brings out insights you often miss in the daily grind. It means employees show up to reviews not just ready, but with a really considered view on their performance. And when you connect that to the bigger picture, for the company, these evaluations give a much richer understanding. They help managers and HR make more consistent assessments. They flag areas where people want to improve. They highlight wins and just offer lots of other important details. It paints a fuller picture.
A fuller picture, yeah. And it strikes me that without this self-assessment piece, some really key information might just vanish. It might not even come up in a normal review. It could surprise managers maybe. Or even better, like the sources say, it could present information in a valuable new light. Something that actually helps improve things down the line, like processes or results. How does that new light really work in practice?
That's exactly it. When employees share their view, they might point out, say, a bottleneck in how things get done, or maybe a specific customer thing that showed a flaw in the process, or even, a personal win on a project that kind of flew under the radar. These are things managers might just never see directly. Like, imagine an engineer. Maybe they figured out a workaround for some recurring bug. It wasn't a big feature launch, but it saved the team tons of hours over the quarter. That kind of detail. It helps management make smarter decisions about resources, maybe refining project plans or spotting where new training is needed. It turns that subjective experience into something really actionable.
Okay, so we've got a handle on what they are and how they bring fresh perspectives. Now, the big question, why do them? For a lot of people, it probably feels like just another bit of corporate admin. But the sources suggest there's a deeper, more strategic reason, right? Something really important for growth. What's that main driver?
Yeah, the main driver is really about expanding the information you get in a typical appraisal. It's about actively bringing in the employee's perspective. And this isn't just about adding fluff. It's adding crucial personal context that managers, well, they just can't always know. It gives them insights into details they might not have known before, like maybe the full effort someone put into a tricky task, or it gives them visibility into a project or employee achievement that they may not have considered as important as the employee does. Think about maybe a salesperson who worked for months on a difficult lead that finally closed. The manager sees the result, the closed deal, but the employee, they can explain the sheer persistence, the strategic thinking that went into landing it. That adds a whole other dimension. And beyond that, these self-assessments, they're a fantastic way to get direct feedback from people on specific goals, milestones, challenges, successes. It's their chance to tell their story, really. Our sources even mention possibly including peer feedback or even feedback on the manager, as part of a 360-degree review. All right, for anyone unfamiliar, that's where feedback comes from all around peers, people they manage, maybe even clients sometimes. Gives a really rounded view of someone's impact.
That makes sense, getting the full picture.
Yeah.
But you could argue, doesn't that just put more pressure on the employee? How do the sources handle that? Or, how does this actually empower someone, give them a real voice, instead of just being another task?
That's a fair question. And companies definitely need to be careful. It doesn't just feel like more pressure, you're right. But honestly, the evidence we looked at, it strongly suggests that when it's done well, it really empowers the employee. It gets employees more involved in the performance management process, plain and simple. And that involvement, It's critical. It makes people feel valued. Their view isn't just tacked on, it's actively sought out. Plus, it helps make the whole process feel more fair and equitable by including their responses. When you actually have a say in your own evaluation, you're much more likely to buy into the results, right? And feel an ownership over your development goals. It changes the whole dynamic. It's less about being judged, more about being a partner in your own growth.
Okay, that partnership idea is powerful. Let's get practical then. For you listening, when you actually sit down with that blank page, what goes in it? Is there a strict formula or is it more flexible?
The million-dollar question. Well, the sources do confirm there are no hard and fast rules, and obviously it'll vary a bit from company to company. But they definitely highlight a lot of best practices and key categories that are super helpful. Think of them less like strict rules, more like a solid framework. They're really there to help you structure your thoughts, make sure you cover the important stuff. So first up, category 1. Key highlights from the past year. And this isn't just like a laundry list. It's about specific accomplishments, big milestones, project wins, and crucially, the sources emphasize including clear details related to their role and how they influenced these results. So instead of just saying launched new feature, you'd want something more like led the team that launched feature X, which boosted user engagement 15% in Q3 by driving the design and integration. See, it's about showing real measurable impacts, stuff a manager might not see day to day.
Right, connecting your actions to the results. Makes sense. What's next?
Second area is your career development path. This is your chance to talk about how you want to grow, what you see as your next steps in the company, maybe asking for mentoring in certain areas. It's about looking ahead, connecting your goals to where the company's going.
Okay, looking forward. Got it.
Third, you focus on performance goals. This part should cover your ideas for improving yourself, setting goals for the next review period, specific aims for your current role. It shows you're proactive about growth, thinking strategically about how you contribute.
Proactive, yeah. Good point.
Then the fourth category, and this one can be really impactful, is feedback for managers. This can be pretty broad, actually. It might include feedback peers gave you, thoughts on team processes, or, yeah, even direct feedback for your own manager. The idea here is to encourage a more honest, open look at the organization overall, help everyone improve, from the top down.
Giving feedback upwards. That can be tricky but valuable.
Definitely. And finally, the fifth area is resource requests. This is the practical stuff. Things like training or certifications you think you need, learning opportunities you're keen on, maybe specific mentoring or any other support you need to improve over the year. Our research even points out this can be tied to a performance improvement plan if necessary, which shows how directly it connects to real, actionable steps for development.
Wow, okay. So putting it all together, when you're writing one, it's clearly not just looking back. It's like you're building a roadmap for your future, right? Tying your own development into the company's bigger picture. It really is about owning your career journey and, importantly, telling that story effectively. Okay, let's switch gears a bit. Think about the organization side. For companies wanting to start using these or maybe just improve how they do it, where do they begin? It sounds like more than just sending out a form. There's a strategy involved.
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely a process, needs careful planning to work well. Our sources lay out several key steps, starting with discussions. First, and this is critical, they should discuss the idea with your HR team. Your HR folks have invaluable experience here, designing systems, implementing them, managing them. They're the ones who can help turn your good idea into an even better practice. They know the potential pitfalls, how to build something solid.
Get the experts involved early. Smart.
Exactly. Next, you absolutely need to include the leadership team in these early discussions. Keep them informed, sure, but also get their ideas, maybe their own requests for what should be included. But maybe the most important part here is trying to convince them to participate in the process in a high-profile way. Having leaders actually do the self-evaluations themselves, that shows serious buy-in and support from the top. It sends a clear message to everyone, this is important. If leaders don't model it, it can just feel like another task pushed down.
Lead by example.
Yeah.
Makes a huge difference.
Totally. Okay, once you have that commitment, the next practical step is to create a self-evaluation template. This means developing clear forms, asking thoughtful questions, maybe making templates adaptable for different roles. These should offer guidance, like suggested questions, areas to cover, and self-evaluation examples. The aim is consistency, but still allowing for individual input.
Standardization, but with flexibility.
Okay, now a really crucial point. Establish the evaluation cadence. How often will these happen? Many companies just default to the once-a-year annual review, right? But our sources really push considering biannual or even quarterly evaluations. Why? To promote continuous feedback. That's a big theme in modern performance management. It shifts it from one big yearly thing to more of an ongoing conversation about performance and growth.
Continuous feedback.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that changes the whole feel of it. Less pressure, more dialogue.
Precisely. Then you've got to train HR managers who will conduct the employee performance reviews. This is key. They need to know what to look for in these self-assessments, how to sort of create baselines for reactions, and critically, how they can constructively process the information and collaborate with the employee to focus on improving. Their job isn't just collecting the form, it's guiding a productive follow-up conversation.
So the management training is crucial for making it work.
Absolutely. And finally, the big rollout. Companies must communicate this information to all of your employees. This means maybe an all-hands meeting, putting clear info on a company portal or communication channel, giving people a real chance to ask questions, raise concerns, and really helping them understand the value that it's in their best interest. Transparency and making sure people get why you're doing it, that's essential for getting people on board.
That point about continuous feedback, moving past just the yearly check-in, that feels like a really big takeaway for how performance management is a later thing. It really does reframe it, makes it less of a, dreaded event and more of an ongoing chat about growth. That's a powerful shift.
So as we wrap up our deep dive today, it's just crystal clear, isn't it? Employee self-evaluations are way more than just a formality, way more than just ticking a box during review time. They're actually a really powerful strategic tool for individuals and for the whole organization's development.
Exactly right. When companies thoughtfully implement this kind of self-evaluation process as part of their overall performance strategy, well, they can create a more engaging and productive performance conversation. That's the goal. This approach doesn't just enhance the quality of your annual performance reviews, although it does that. It also really contributes to ongoing employee development and performance improvement throughout the year. It just lifts the whole conversation about growth and contribution.
It really does. Maybe a final thought for you listening. Think about how regularly reflecting on your own journey, your wins, where you're growing, what you're aiming for, even outside of these formal evaluations, how that could keep sharpening your focus, driving your growth day by day, making every day feel like a step toward whatever your next big thing is.